Hi. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you like why do we need all the stuff we need in the contract process. Let's begin. So the first step of the contract process is the purification unit. Sorry, not the purification unit, the production of SO2. To produce sulfur dioxide is the most important part of this whole process. The first chamber is the blower, which doesn't really matter because it just gives out air or oxygen. Either way. So let's start. So first is the first main part is the production of SO2, right? It's a production of SO2. So when we produce SO2, we use these things called sulfur or pyrite burners. We use sulfur or pyrite burners. That's all. So what we do is we burn sulfur or iron pyrite. We burn sulfur or iron pyrite. So when sulfur is burnt in air, it burns with a pale blue flame, forming sulfur dioxide and traces of sulfur trioxide. Okay? Just traces. It's not significant at all. It cannot be used at all. So when sulfur is burnt in air, it burns with a pale blue flame. It burns with a pale blue flame. And it makes sulfur dioxide and very little sulfur trioxide. So the reaction goes something like this. S plus O2 gives us SO2 and traces of SO3. That's all. Yeah. Then we can also burn sulfur or iron pyrites in oxygen. Wait, what? Okay, so they're saying that burning of sulfur or iron pyrites in oxygen is preferred to purified air, since heat energy is wasted in heating the unreactive nitrogen component of the air. Oh, okay. So since air contains 71% nitrogen, heat energy is wasted. Heat energy is wasted in heating this unreactive nitrogen. So so the original one, this reaction, is not really that preferred because we need to remove the nitrogen component in the air by heat. So it's not really that preferred. So that's why this iron pyrite or sulfur pyrite burning in oxygen is preferred. So the reaction goes like this: FeS2 plus 11O2 gives us 2 Fe2O3 plus 8 SO2. So this is preferred. This is preferred over this one. This is preferred over this one. Yeah, so that's everything about the first part of the process, the production of the actual SO2. Remember that sulfur, when burnt in oxygen, burns with a pale blue flame. Great. So now we got the purification unit. The first one is the sulfur or pyrite burners. That's the actual unit. It's called the chamber B. Chamber B is called the sulfur or pyrite burners. Now the purification unit. The purification unit has 6 units. So what it does is just removes all the impurities present in the gaseous mixture of sulfur dioxide and oxygen. So purification unit So where the first thing is that the gaseous mixtures of sulfur dioxide and oxygen, which is in the air, are passed through a purification unit before entering the contact tower. So impurities present. So the gaseous mixture of SO2 and O2 contain many impurities. Contain impurities, mainly dust particles, mainly mainly dust, arsenic oxide, I think it's Ar2O3 or O2, I'm not sure. Arsenic oxide, and then dust, or sorry, pyrite dust. Yeah. So the main impurities are dust, pyrite dust, and arsenic oxide. Yeah. Then why do we remove these impurities? Why is it so harmful that the impurities that are not removed? So if the impurities are not removed, they tend to deactivate or poison the catalyst, and thereby it reduces efficiency. Remember, in the contact tower, we use this catalyst called vanadium pentoxide or platinum. So if we don't remove these impurities, they tend to poison or deactivate the catalyst, the V2O5 or platinum. Yeah. So they tend to poison or deactivate the catalyst. Great. So that's the reason. So the impurities present are dust, pyrite, arsenic oxide. We know the reason to remove them. Now, how do we remove them? So dust particles is removed by the dusting, and scrubbing tower. The dust is removed. Dust is removed through dusting and scrubbing tower. There's the dusting tower, the cooling pipes, and the scrubbing tower, but we're not going to use the cooling pipes right here. Yeah, so we first do the dust. The dust is removed by this dusting and scrubbing tower, and the arsenic oxide is removed by the passage. The arsenic oxide, I think this is the formula. Arsenic oxide is removed by the passage. Of FO3. Ferric. Ferric hydroxide. Yeah, ferric hydroxide. Okay, so we're done with the purification unit 2. Now let's go on with the contact tower. So what's the contact tower? In here, we catalytically oxidize sulfur dioxide to sulfur trioxide. So the gaseous mixture of sulfur dioxide and oxygen for catalytic oxidation of sulfur dioxide contains an excess of oxygen. Basically, in this catalytic oxidation, we oxidize sulfur dioxide to sulfur trioxide at an elevated temperature at around 450 to 500 degrees Celsius, and excess oxygen favors the forward reaction, thereby enhancing the yield of sulfur trioxide. Okay, so here we, okay, let's write. Okay, here we use an excess of oxygen. To forward the reaction. That's all. Yeah, that's it. So in modern plants, oxygen from the liquid air plant is employed. Basically, they put more oxygen so that the liquid air in the plant is employed. Okay, that makes no sense at all. I don't understand any of that. Anyway, that doesn't really matter. So basically, all you need to understand is in the catalytic oxygen, we use sulfur. We convert sulfur dioxide to sulfur trioxide by adding an excess of oxygen at elevated temperatures to enhance to forward the reaction, enhancing the yield of the sulfur trioxide. Okay, so the catalyst. Now we know the catalyst is vanadium pentoxide, right? We know the catalyst is vanadium pentoxide. But why is it vanadium pentoxide? Does anybody know? Nope, not at all. Vanadium pentoxide is a preferred catalyst during the catalytic oxidation for SO2, as is preferred to it. Okay, let me rephrase. Vanadium pentoxide is preferred to platinize asbestos. It's to platinized to asbestos as a catalyst since it's comparatively cheaper. So it's preferred. Okay, so this is preferred over platinized asbestos. Vanadium pentoxide is preferred to platinize asbestos as a catalyst. As since it is comparatively cheaper and less easily poisoned or susceptible to impurities. That's all. But we also use a promoter here. Do you know what the promoter is? Vanadium pentoxide is compressed into shredded threads and mixed with a promoter, usually potassium oxide. To enhance the activity of the catalyst. So vanadium pentoxide is compressed into shredded threads and mixed with a promoter, usually potassium oxide. Okay, great. So vanadium pentoxide is preferred over platinized asbestos as a catalyst, as it is comparatively cheaper and less easily poisoned or susceptible to impurities. And a promoter is used, as vanadium pentoxide is compressed into shredded threads and mixed with a promoter, usually potassium oxide, and less easily poisoned or susceptible to impurities. And it is to enhance the activity of the catalyst. A catalyst only initially heated. What do you mean by that? It says that the initial heat should be 450 degrees Celsius. So a catalyst only initially heated. So the contact mass being porous facilitates the access of gas to the interior of the granules. The catalyst mass is only initially heated electrically since the catalytic oxidation of the sulfur dioxide. I don't understand this part. I'll come back to you with this. I'll make a huge circle. Come back to catalyst only initially heated. There. Great. Okay. Now, there's a specific temperature too, right? Which is 450 to 500 degrees Celsius. Why is that? So the catalytic oxidation of SO2 to SO3 is an exothermic reaction. It releases about 450 kilocalories of energy. Pretty much. A lot. It's a lot. So the actual reaction, the pure reaction, is 2SO2 plus O2. It's a reversible reaction with vanadium pentoxide / platinum at 450 degrees to 500 degrees Celsius at 1 to 2 atmospheric pressure. This gives 2SO3 plus 45 kilocalories. So it's an exothermic reaction. So why should we make it an exothermic reaction, basically, he's asking. So an exothermic reaction is favored as it is just higher yield of product and sulfur trioxide by lowering the temperature. Le Chatelier's principle. We don't have to rely on Le Chatelier's principle, leave that. So If the temperature is too low, the reaction tends to slow down. A rise of 10 degrees Celsius would double the speed of the reaction. Hence, an optimum temperature of 450 to 500 degrees Celsius is found most suitable for the catalytic oxidation reaction with the conversion of sulfur dioxide to sulfur trioxide. That's it. Just to make it faster. It's a good point. Then we have the pressor. The actual pressor. Isco Moreno versus Alfredi. Control your temper, so don't be angry. Okay. Isco Moreno versus Alfredi. Control your temper, so don't be angry. Alright, let's start. Pressure. Now the pressure part. Why is it 1 to 2 atmosphere? So an optimum pressure about 1 to 2 atmosphere is used during the catalytic oxidation of sulfur dioxide from this reaction. As the forward reaction is favored by increasing the pressure. If you increase the pressure, it's quicker, basically. Increasing the pressure, if a reaction takes place with a decrease in volume, as in the case of catalytic oxidation. Alright. Hence, high pressures favor a higher yield of sulfur trioxide. Hence, high pressures favor a higher yield of, okay. Yeah, so basically they just prefer a higher yield, that's all. Now let's go on to the absorption tower, where the SO3 vapors are absorbed into concentrated sulfuric acid. So even though sulfur trioxide is an acid anhydride, SO3 is an acid anhydride. Okay, it's an acid anhydride. Yeah, even the sulfur trioxide is an acid anhydride of sulfuric acid, it is not directly absorbed into water to give sulfuric acid. See, I told you, even though SO3 plus H2O gives H2SO4, it's not done, because the reaction is super duper exothermic. This is like extremely exothermic, super duper exothermic, resulting in the production of a dense fog of sulfuric acid particles which do not condense easily. They will remain, and it's bad for your health. So hence, sulfur trioxide vapors are dissolved into concentrated sulfuric acid to give oleum, which on dilution with the requisite amount of soft water in the dilution tank gives a sulfuric acid of the desired concentration, about 98%. So basically, after this whole debacle, why we can't use this, it is mixed with concentrated sulfuric acid to give oleum, or pyrosulfuric acid, and then that is diluted into water to give 2H2SO4 about 98% concentration. So pretty damn concentrated. Yeah.